Hi, and welcome to the Simplifying Sustainability podcast. I'm Donal, CEO and founder of ENSO.
And I'm Erin, our sustainability expert.
Today, we're going to tackle social impact, which is something every Irish SME should be aware of because not only does it affect the bottom line of the business, it also has a huge impact on the planet and on local communities.
We'll break it down into bite sized, actionable tips. And as always, we'll make sure to keep things practical and relevant to you all by ending with some actions that you can take to get started or further your social impact journey.
By the end of this episode, you'll know how to create a strong partnership with a community organization and monitor your impact. And also hear how one Irish business made it all work. We hear all the time that businesses should consider their social impact. Why is this?
That's a great question. We hear this term social impact all the time. It's a bit ambiguous sometimes, but there are many important reasons for us as businesses to consider it as a key part of our strategy and operations. First things first, we are operating within a community. We are part of a community, whether that's your local community, your country community, your global community. Doesn't matter the size, we are part of a community. So we have an impact on that community and therefore a responsibility to be aware of our impact and try to make it as positive as possible. But then beyond that, there's a lot of business benefits to engaging with social impact as well, such as your increased organizational reputation as a company that cares about the communities in which it operates and opportunities for team building and engagement amongst your employees. There's lots of ways to get involved when it comes to social impact.
And most businesses, when they think of social impact, I think a lot of them position that as working with a charity or doing some sort of monetary donations. Is this the best way to have a positive impact, or what's your thoughts on that, Aaron?
Yeah, it really depends on your capabilities, the time you have, where your business is at in your journey. But keep in mind that there are so many different ways to engage with your community. Monetary donations are great, but they're often a one off or something you do around the holidays and might not have a longer term impact that you're actually looking to have. So take some time to identify your strengths and weaknesses and the resources that you have at your disposal to identify your best engagement opportunities. So we'll talk a bit about actually getting started with this now.
Let's set the stage. What does social impact mean for SMEs?
Great question. We've been using the term social impact for the past couple of minutes, and it's about time that we define it. Social impact is all about community engagement and working within the communities in which we as businesses operate. As I said earlier, local all the way up to global. So we're looking across our multiple communities in which we operate truly. It's all about ensuring positive interactions and impacts through things like knowledge sharing, skill sharing, donations of your time, in kind products or money, sponsorships, internships, offering community spaces. There are so many different ways to engage with social impact, but at its core, social impact is about working with your community, working with a partner to address a cause that aligns with your business and is something your team is passionate about to make a positive impact and to reduce harm. That reducing harm piece is really, really key. Keeping that in mind, Donal, are there any specific challenges that you hear often from business owners when they want to get started with social impact or start a new project or just grow their social impact?
You know what? I think social impact is something a lot of businesses are doing in some way, shape, or form. Anyway, a lot of the time when we start speaking with them, and when it's coming to identifying it, they're looking to like how do they identify a cause and what or who should they support. A lot of small businesses, SMEs, they often have this struggle of a lot of charities or local clubs come knocking on the door, so oftentimes they're overwhelmed by a lot of questions and requests for support. A lot of the businesses that we've worked with, they end up, giving out a lot and a lot of smaller little bits to a lot of local initiatives, which is great. But for us, it's really about having that structure there to help guide them and help them make better decisions. Another one is, and this can be a challenge, but also really big opportunities around getting employees involved. A lot of times, business owners might take it upon themselves to decide what's best for the company or just to make a quick and easy decision. But actually, getting employees involved, structuring some of their time towards maybe volunteering or beach clean or something interesting that engages them and also gives them a bit of purpose. And that's also a big challenge, but like I said, a huge opportunity. And then Same with everything in sustainability. It's around time and limitations. So it's, how much resources can you put towards this, whether it be time, money, even just thinking time. So, that is a huge challenge, but actually having a framework and putting a bit of, initial thought behind it, you can actually set up an easy way to approach this and get really good results over a short period of time.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on there, Donal, about the time and capacity limitations. Many people that we talk to feel like they don't have anything to contribute in the social impact space.
Yeah.
But let me put that to bed right now. Every single business owner, no matter what you're doing within the business, you have a specialized knowledge and skill set that can be put to use in some really cool way within your community. So be creative, think about what you're good at, and go from there.
On that as well, a lot of times business might think that it is a large, monetary donations, but actually it's something that the business is maybe already doing. That, it won't cost you a lot, and maybe that special skill that your business have
Yeah.
or an employee has can be used already. So you're not reinventing the wheels.
Actually,
Yeah.
one of my favorite community engagement pieces that costs you nothing, if you have a physical space, offering it to community groups
Mhm.
as a free organizing space for whether it's, I don't know, an open mic night or rehearsals or some kind of organizing space where they're trying to make change in their community, that's invaluable. So that's just something that I've been seeing people doing recently that I wanted to kind of shout out because I thought it was really, really interesting.
For businesses listening now, they maybe think they're doing something around social impact and not too sure. Give them three top tips to sort of get involved and get moving on social impact.
Yeah, so that previous one's a little bit of a bonus one that I've just
Yeah.
seen, I just think is cool. But my actual three top tips, I'm going to start with something that you can do really nicely with your team. So identify causes that your business cares about through your team members. Everyone you work with is going to be passionate about different causes. I'm sure there'll be some overlap based on the values of your company. And you can take those ideas and, as I said, align them with the values of your company, pick one or two to maybe explore further, and really make your team members feel like they're part of that selection process because then they'll want to be more engaged and you'll have a greater impact as you move forward. Once you find those one or two causes that you want to take a look at, find local organizations that are already doing good work to address those challenges. No one's asking you to create your own nonprofit. No one's asking you to create your own plan from scratch. There are great organizations out there doing the work in line with challenges and causes that you're passionate about. And likely they could be right next door. They're going to be in your own community. So find those organizations, reach out to them, and ideally create some kind of long term partnership with them because we want to have a longer, greater social impact. And it's also a better story for you when it comes to communicating your sustainability and communicating your ethos as a company. And kind of off the back of that comes my third tip, which is figuring out what those organizations need and how your capabilities, time, and capacity line up. So, give an example. If you are really passionate about animal welfare and you find a local animal shelter that you want to work with, and they need someone to help organize a food and toy drive, maybe you have people in your organization that are really good at keeping inventory, reaching out to people in terms of kind of social media or emails and other content. Maybe you have people that are excited to kind of physically be there. Find those capacities, put them to use, and you'll notice none of those things that I mentioned actually included any kind of monetary donation. It was skills and time. So never feel that not having money to donate is a barrier to getting involved.
They're great tips there. And it seems there's a common theme around businesses doing something that's feasible for them and manageable. So the last thing you want to do is trying to take on a big project. It's going to overwhelm you and your team, and that's just unrealistic. And nothing's going to happen. So
Yeah.
everything you talk about there seems to touch on that for businesses to look within themselves, see what they can do and what's manageable, and that's a great way to get started.
Yeah. But let's say some big project does come up that you're really excited about. Find partners. You can work together with
Absolutely,
other organizations.
absolutely.
Let's say it's something you're really excited about, but let's say we as Enso, we can't handle this ourselves. We need to bring in extra expertise, extra hands, extra minds. Let's work with some of our previous partners in the past and do something really cool together. So that's also could be very, very interesting to tackle those bigger projects should they come up.
It is indeed. Collaboration can have a huge, huge impact. And just because you're a
Totally.
smaller business, it doesn't mean exactly you should not shy away from those larger projects, because it's really fantastic to have that big impact in wherever you want to actually have it. So definitely agree with that.
And I think this is a really good time to move into a bit of a actual example. I would
Mm.
love to, Donal, to talk about CloudForest and what they're doing in Ireland, how we as ENSO are involved for our own social impact. It's actually a really good example of how collaboration is key to social impact.
100%. Yeah, really good example. And, we're really proud to be a cool partner working with CloudForests. And what they do really, they've bought pieces of land along the Wild Atlantic Way with the, key goal of rewilding them. So it's not just a project where they're going to plant some trees, it's really planting a whole plethora of native trees. But they also want to have a social impact. So they're working with local beekeepers, nature guides, local horticulturists. So it's really involving the community in those local areas. But how they're actually funding that is bringing businesses together. So it's everyone from Amazon, AWS, right down to smaller businesses like ourselves. Everyone coming together at different levels, putting our minds or, whatever resources we have together. And, it was last year, Erin, and we got out there to County Clare, planting trees, planting oak trees, planting all sorts of trees with our bare hands. And it was a really great way to meet other businesses that were like minded, that really wanted to have a environmental impact, but also have that social impact. So I think for us as a business, it was a really great way to get out of our usual surroundings. We got chatting about lots of different things. It was a great day out for us as a business, but
Totally.
also meeting other businesses as well. So that model of, bringing businesses together, pooling together resources, and having a real impact on the planet and in the local community, it's one of the best models I've seen yet, and it's a real pleasure
Totally.
and honor to be, involved in it.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about what they do is a focus on education as well. I think
Absolutely, yeah.
we learned so much when we were there, but they do projects and create like little forests or gardens at schools as well. So they're very involved in education and educating kind of the next generation of people who are going to be caring for our planet and caring for our communities. So very, very cool. They had a whole exhibit about bats, which are my favorite animals. So that was a very exciting moment for me. There's a lot of knowledge, not just about the plants themselves, but about the ecosystems that exist within them. So very,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, no, really, really interesting, and somewhere that we'll hopefully visit again over time and see
Absolutely.
the fruits of all of our hard work. And yeah, you're completely right. They also then focus on those urban forests within, urban areas, and you're educating kids and local communities around the importance of flora and fauna. So really, really impressive, and as I said, a real pleasure to be involved with. One of the biggest questions that we get around social impact is like how to monitor and measure it.
This is definitely one of the trickiest things with social impact because when you're working with people and you're working in communities, there's so many variables and so many things that are going on. It's not like just measuring your electricity use where it's a number you can get off your bill. You have to really look at qualitative and quantitative data. So, qualitative data, we're looking at the quality of something, is how I remember which is which. So, qualitative answers more the question of kind of what's going on, how is it happening? How is it impacting the people around us? Those kind of questions. And then quantitative data is those numbers. So, how many people were engaged? How many hours? How many events did we host? Things like that. So, you want to be able to bring those types of data together. But what's actually important beyond that is identifying a couple key metrics in each of those categories rather than trying to measure everything. Absolutely, there are people whose entire academic fields of studies or job is about getting into these really nitty gritty social variables and measurement items. And it's fascinating, but that's not what we need to be doing here. It is just not necessarily our capacity, unless, let's say, that's something you're really interested in, go for it.
Yeah,
But for what we actually really need is you need to identify maybe 4 or 5 max key data points that you can use to tell the story of your social impact. And what is most important, I cannot stress it enough, what are the key metrics you need to ensure you're having the impact you think you're having and that you're not causing any harm? How can you tell your story? Is it actually the positive impact you think you're having? are you causing any harm? Those are the three questions your 4 or 5 data points really need to answer. And then once you identify those data points, make sure you have a plan to monitor them regularly to keep answering those questions, to keep making sure you're not causing harm and you're causing the positive impact you want to, because communities change, people change.
Mhm.
That's what's exciting about working in communities, but it's also what necessitates regular and ongoing measurement.
And I think a lot of the time when we see the social impact there, and it sort of just organically, it's maybe being a part of an annual event or something that's kind of happening on a annual slash maybe every 6 months basis. So it is actually, if you have them data points that are going across each event or
Yeah.
each initiative, you really can actually measure this. Not easily, but with a little bit of thought and effort, it's
It is pretty easy. The toughest part will be just deciding what data points
at the
you
beginning.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what the data sources are going to be, whether it's you keeping track of attendance or if it's using an online database from another organization, whatever it might be. Once you identify those two things and who's in charge of doing it, it'll be easy enough to keep it up because you'll have the process in place.
Just to summarize, social impact is key for businesses. It's incredibly important to monitor your impact and to make sure you're creating positive outcomes.
Remember to include your team in identifying the causes with which you engage to make sure that they are ready to be part of your action and that you can create long term partnerships for maximum impact. Prioritizing social impact is a win win situation for your business. You're giving your team an opportunity to support causes that they care about while promoting well being and increasing your organizational reputation. Well, of course, creating a positive impact in the communities in which you operate.
And SMEs really have the opportunity to lead the way and create meaningful community based change. So visit our website, check out our blogs and resources for more information on how your business can have a social impact.
Don't forget to follow us for updates and tips. We're always happy to chat about these things, and we're definitely going to be sharing new information and new insights and things that can help you on every step of your journey. On our next episode, we're going to be talking about the VSME, the voluntary SME standards that will help you align with CSRD information requests from your bigger partners and customers. So that's going to be a really interesting episode, and definitely make sure to tune in next time. Thanks for listening and talking about social impact with us.